Now, there appears to be no end to the US-China war on trade tariffs, even though the US stock markets on Friday morning showed some hopes of overcoming the carnage. Now, China has retaliated by raising its levies on the US products to 125%, even as it calls the race of imposing more and more tariffs nothing but a joke. But what isn't a joke is the impact that this is having on the global trading systems and on the global economy. Take a look.
The gloves are off. It's almost turned into a no-limits poker duel with neither side willing to blink. Yes, the US and China are at war on the trade field. The latest salvo, Beijing announced 125% reciprocal tariffs on all US imports on Friday. As Xi Jinping broke his silence on the issue, China has labelled US tariffs a numbers game with no economic relevance that will become a joke, as it filed a lawsuit with the WTO complaining of the rules-based multilateral trading system being undermined.
China has repeatedly stated its solemn position on tariffs. There are no winners in a tariff and trade war. China is unwilling but unafraid to engage in it. I want to stress that if the United States truly wants to resolve the issue through dialogue and negotiation, it should cease extreme pressure and reckless actions. Any dialogue must be based on equality, respect, and mutual benefit. If the US is determined to fight a tariff and trade war, China will fight till the end.
Just 10 days, and what a drastic turnaround it's been between the world's biggest trading partners. US tariffs on Chinese goods that stood at 10% on the 1st of April are now at 145%. This is already in effect. China has retaliated. Tariffs on American goods coming into China will be taxed at 125% effective from Saturday. The fallouts are already visible. US retailers are suspending orders and halting shipments as the global supply chain grinds to a near halt. The US and China make up 43% of global GDP. An all-out trade war could weigh on global growth, investment and market stability. China has already restricted exports of strategic metals like germanium and gallium, vital for defense and AI applications. On the other side, the US could intensify its technology blockade, targeting Chinese access to advanced microchips. Analysts also warn of a global dumping risk. China is already running a $1 trillion goods surplus, with excess products like steel potentially flooding global markets at artificially low prices. The ripple effects of this economic confrontation are now being felt worldwide. There are clear signals also of China looking for partners to stand up against the US tariff offensive. On a visit to Spain, President Xi called for China and Europe coming together to fulfill international responsibilities and resist what he called unilateral bullying practices. This one follows a similar outreach to India. The punch and counterpunch and the battle for one-upmanship is far from over, and there's little doubt in the potential this has to throw global trade regimes completely out of gear. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what's actually happening in this trade war between the United States and China, we're joined in this broadcast by Ms. Jennifer Zheng, who is a member of International Press Association and also the host of Inconvenient Truths by Jennifer Zheng, which aims at offering first-hand information and unique insights about China and the CCP. Ms. Zheng, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Let me start off by asking you this. We are in the midst of what can only be described as a full-blown trade war. 145% tariffs is what the United States has imposed on Chinese products into America. China has responded by 125% tariffs. Give us a sense of the kind of impact this is likely to have on these two financial giants.
I think, first of all, the effect on the Chinese economy would be huge, I think bigger than what it will affect the US, of course, because of the imbalance of the import and export amount. Actually, it is absolutely devastating for the Chinese economy, which is always already on the brink of collapsing, and the employment is rising. And very, very soon, like I have shared several notices from factories in China, factories are already notifying their employees that we are going to on hold because of the tariff issue. So they are giving their employees holidays or unpaid holidays, and they don't know how long it will last. And today we saw more reports about, the ships, planes are all unholding, and no ships are running from China to the US right now. So this is absolutely devastating to the US or to the Chinese economy. On the US side, of course, I think US would also suffer because, we have been relying on the Chinese goods for so many years. So it takes time to find replacement for these goods, but that is not an unsolvable problem. We suffer a little bit, but I think very quickly, other countries and other markets, other producers will replace China. But of course, there will be a period of chaos and uncertainty, unsettlement. But
right.
I think the result will be much, much worse to the Chinese economy.
A period of chaos and a period of uncertainty is how you're describing it. But where will China take all of these goods that it produces? Because the United States of America at this moment, according to Trump, has a budget deficit because of importing Chinese goods to the tune of $350 to $400 billion. So where will the Chinese go with these goods? Where would they want to dump them?
I think, of course, the first thing they will think about is, I think, EU market, and of course all other market. As long as they can find it, they would like to have it. And the CCP just have a so-called neighboring countries conference to try to discuss how they can ally with their neighboring countries, maybe to fight against the US. But I don't think it is possible for them to find another market which can absorb as much as Chinese goods as the US.
Right.
It is absolutely impossible.
All right, interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Jennifer Zheng, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.